Good morning and welcome to the Recovery Report Live. I'm Matthew Sengsourinh, president of GlobalPro Florida, coming to you today, as always, from the Griffin Studio at the Nucleus Hub right here in Coconut Grove, Florida. GlobalPro, if you don't know, is your insurance coverage expert before, during, and after any loss or damage. The pedigree of our team, the extensive collective experience, our unwavering advocacy for our policyholders, and the care for our community makes GlobalPro uniquely qualified to represent over 1,400 community associations, hundreds of developers, builders, and contractors, thousands of business owners and homeowners, and dozens of private clients and family offices. We have represented clients all over North America and the Caribbean, and after 11 and a half, almost 12 years, our team, our process, and our experience has resulted in the recovery of over $1.2 billion for our clients. I want to welcome you again to another great episode today. We have a packed show. I'm going to reintroduce and get back to my old ways and do a sneaker release at the end, so stay tuned for that. But first and foremost, let's talk about a topic, a subject that comes up in the beginning of the adjustment process, when we're hired and retained to represent clients and policyholders for claims. We try to advise our clients to successfully manage their risk to recovery. If you know the GlobalPro slogan, we do everything to make sure that we are maximizing our policyholders' recoveries, and we do that by managing their risks throughout that process. So what does that mean? Let's start there, right? Simply put, I think there are three areas that are most important. One is the notice requirements, right? Who, what, when, where, right? Two is proving your damage. The intent of a policy is that you as a policyholder need to prove your damage. We call that the 3 Ds of damage: describe, document, and defend. And then three, most importantly, we need the valuation of the loss and damage. Do you need an expert or no expert? Can you stay the course? Can you minimize your risks to recovery or get around them, over them, through them, under them? Can you properly describe and not minimize your damage? Have you minimized your damage, and how do you get back to making sure that it's fully valued, right? What supporting information do you need to ensure that this is a complete file, a sophisticated file, and ready for submission to the insurance company so that they really can't have any coverage defenses? We're going to go through all that today and more. And so let me get back to the first part of this here, where we're going to talk about notice requirements. In your policy, there's 2 different provisions that you really need to follow once loss or damage has occurred, okay? First and foremost, your policy has a list of notice requirements. You need to follow those appropriately and properly and accurately, and if you don't know how to navigate those points after you've suffered loss or damage, the notice requirements, typically would fall on us. So as your representative, we would describe who, what, when, and where, okay? And we would make sure that you're in compliance with your policy, your notice requirements. Sometimes, right, you need to actually look at the email, the phone number, the actual department you need to call or email, the where you need to send the information, how you need to send the information, right? And then you need to also make sure that you're following up to anyone that you've talked to or received your information to properly, ensure that your notice was received and that it was received in the manner that you wanted to send it, right? That is very, very important. So who, what, when, where, the 4 most important things. Obviously, as your representative, we're going to make sure that we comply with all of that. But for you at home, think about that, right? Who? Typically, your policy will tell you who to call, who to email, right? It's going to also provide you a list of what to email or call and what details to say. And you need to follow those and stick to those. Don't give them more information. Don't give them less information. Just stick to what your obligations are under your notice requirements. It's going to tell you when, right? This also bleeds into the obligations after a loss, which is the second part of this initial step here for your claim. You have to make sure that you're promptly noticing your insurer. You don't want to prejudice your claim because it's too late. Now, with that being said, there are rules about that in your policy, and there's legislative changes, amendments that have occurred that have gone into effect over the past couple of years here that have reduced that time period. But ultimately, you need to promptly notice your loss and damage to the right people, right person, right department at your insurer. Okay, so now we've gotten through some of that. Now, where is also very, very important. Where do you send this information? Oftentimes we come into a situation, unfortunately, after the loss notice has been conducted, and oftentimes we hear that the insureds simply called their broker. Now, that's logical, obviously. It makes sense to do that. They're your point of contact for your product, your insurance policy. However, that's not in compliance with your notice requirements typically, and also, frankly, I don't think it's in compliance with the law here in Florida. And for the most part, we want to go direct to the source, direct to the place that is described in your policy. And ultimately, if you tell your broker, who's not a fiduciary to you, if you tell them what occurred, and they don't notice the claim properly, or they try to dissuade you from entering the claim, or there's something else that happens, right? That's on you. You're accountable as the policyholder, not them, right? They're not a fiduciary to you. It's your responsibility to comply as the insured with your notice requirements and then your post-loss obligations, obviously, right? Okay, so wrapping all that up, remember, your notice requirements are first and foremost one of the most important things you have to do after suffering loss or damage. Who, what, when, and where. Make sure you know all of those. And if you're uncomfortable or don't think that you can handle it because of the size of the loss or the intricacy of the loss and the cause of loss and things of that nature, always seek representation. Always seek help. There's folks out there like the insurance coverage expert at GlobalPro who will help you on a contingency basis, where we're going to handle all that. We're going to take on the liability for you and make sure that everything is done properly, especially when it comes to your notice requirements and your obligations after a loss. Okay? Now let's take it to the next step. Your notice requirements are fulfilled. You started to fulfill and knock off the checklist of your duties after a loss. Now we have to prove our damage. We call this the 3 Ds of damage here. Okay, so you want to describe, you want to document, and defend. You've described it now to your carrier. You've done it properly. You've done it promptly, and now you're moving on to documentation. So pictures, videos. Drone videos of your property, everything helps. The one thing I would say, and I always say this, and if you know me, it's probably going to sound like I'm a broken record as always, but pictures are great. Take them from every angle. Remember that. Second thing, videos are great, but don't talk. Don't say anything in the video. Let the actual visual speak for itself. Right? Don't minimize the damage because innocently you're taking a video of water that's entering your property and you say, oh, it looks like 4 or 5 inches when it's in fact 6 or 7, 8 inches. Don't minimize the damage innocently, right? Also, you don't want to overstate the damage. So you have to have a balance there, and the easiest way to do that is just not to say anything. Take video, take pictures, take as many as possible. The more the better. There's never enough, there's never a situation where you didn't take enough pictures or didn't take enough video, didn't do enough to document the loss. Now that's the visual side of it, right? But what about if it's something that's physical damage to property? It's broken, a pipe, the exterior of your building, your roof or whatever. You need to keep whatever has been damaged, whatever is broken. If it's detached or flown off, or if it's a broken pipe, a broken valve, something that's actual, broken that you cannot throw away. Okay, you cannot let anybody take it. You need to have a chain of custody. It doesn't have to be very, very formal if you're just doing it for your home, but as a property manager, a CAM, or someone leading a community association, a business, you need to understand that stuff is the most valuable part of the documentation of your damage. You have to prove your damage. If you have a broken pipe and you throw the pipe away, or the plumber just takes the pipe and fixes the pipe when he comes to the emergency call, you don't have the evidence anymore. Now, obviously, you can tell if something's been repaired, right? However, the insurance company has a right to subrogate, and they need the information, they need the data, they need the broken part to make sure that they can lay liability, and pursue their rights of subrogation. So always remember that. So you've described it properly now. You've taken pictures. You've taken video. You didn't talk in the video. You took pictures from every angle. You used other resources like drones, and you've also kept the broken part, if there is one, to make sure that the chain of custody isn't broken, that you know exactly where it is, and you can provide it to again fulfill your post-loss obligations. Now you need to defend your claim. Okay, so to defend it, if you need representation, you should have hired them already to ensure that innocently, again, you didn't minimize the damage. You didn't use any limiting language. You didn't make a mistake because you just don't have the experience like the folks at GlobalPro do. But now you need to defend everything you've done. You've described it properly. You've documented it properly. Let's defend it now. So there's certain contractual and statutory obligations that the insurance companies have to follow. We, of course, at GlobalPro, our insurance coverage expert here in the team, we study the statutes all day. We study, the contracts, the policies, all day. I mean, all day we're reading policies. It's the foundation for every discussion, right? So to defend your claim, you need to understand your coverages. You need to understand your exclusions, any limitations, any sublimits. You need to understand all the provisions in your policy and how they work together or, exclude or cut out coverage. And you need to understand how to make sure that you're backing everything that you're describing and documenting into coverage to ensure a successful recovery. Now, that's where we manage your risk to recovery. So not only is the notice requirement important, describing it obviously, is one of the most important aspects. Documenting it, very, very, very important, obviously. And then third, defending it, making sure that you're using the right language and explaining your loss and damage to the insurance company properly once you've documented it all and described it. Those are the 3 Ds of damage, proving your damage. Most importantly, also, right, is to have a number, right? The insurance company is not going to pay whatever, right? And I can't tell you how many times we've come into a claim 6, 7, 8 months later where literally the only issue at that moment, the only obstacle preventing payment, clear and obvious damages, for whatever reason, the claim's dragged out, insurance company hasn't made payment, we get called, we're retained, 6, 7 months later, we dig into the file, and we notice there's never been an actual offer. There's never been a valuation or an estimate produced. And so the insurance company is just doing what they do. They're going by their playbook. They're going by their manual, whatever you want to call it, where they might be taking the correct steps on their end, but if you haven't forced them to consider the actual value of the damages, they're just going to keep going through the steps, as their playbook dictates. Remember, they're sitting at the insurance company. They have a big binder in front of them. They have all the steps, all the responses to any obstacle that they might face. It's not a personal thing. That's just how they're trained. These are the general business practices of these insurers, right? So the valuation of loss and damage, if you haven't made one, that's the most important part. They don't know what to pay you. They can't make a reserve request. They can't set aside money for an advance payment if you haven't told them, hey, look, we've incurred extensive mitigation expenses, for example, right? We're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in mitigation. Please make an advance payment. Here's the supporting documentation. There's all these factors that play into getting paid. You've noticed them properly, you've followed your post-loss obligations, you've described, documented, and now you've been able to defend your claim, and you have to give them something to pay you with, right? So the valuation of loss and damage, very, very important. Now, to get the proper valuation, to make sure that it's comprehensive, to make sure that you've done everything you need to do, and put it in writing in a manner that is consistent with normal adjusting methods, right? In this case, we use Xactimate. It's one of the most prevalent, companies and softwares used in the insurance industry and construction industry as well. The databases are constantly updated from a labor and material cost perspective. This is the most up-to-date information. It's the way of getting on the same, playing field here. You need to understand also that you're not the expert. We're also not always the expert. I would argue that we always are, but sometimes we have to get help. Sometimes I need an expert. I need a fenestration expert. Sometimes I need an engineer, depending on the situation, depending on the loss. Sometimes I need a more specific, expert, like, if it's a roof, I need a roofer to actually come in because I need to see what the market looks like. I need to see what materials are out there if in fact we can find material that even can replace the damaged roof in that instance, right? And the tiles are interlocking, the profiles are the same. These are all risks to recovery that are managed through our process and through our team. So, first and foremost, do you need an expert or do you not need an expert, right? Secondly, if you figured out whether or not you need help, right, you need to understand what the value of that damage is in totality, right? You don't want to minimize your damage, right? Whatever number you ask the insurance company to pay you for, right, is the ceiling. Now, you can make all sort of assumptions, right? Insurance companies, they allege all sorts of things, but we're unfortunately we're doing 2 different things here in that process, the adjustment process. The insurance company, if you look at the average over the past 10, 20, 30 years, the long-term average, the insurance company wants to pay you about 25 cents on the dollar. That's about the average from extensive, years, decades of data that we have. 25 cents on the dollar. Think about what I'm saying, right? There's also participation, which is your deductible. So there's a big hurdle to get over, especially now, especially in Florida, after the last couple of years and the amendment changes. If you look at the average today, though, they're paying about a third. So they're paying 33 to 35 cents on the dollar for most claims, and their goal is to get that back down to 25 cents on the dollar, as the long-term average. Okay, so they're paying 50% more today on average, not factoring in or talking about the other variables here, inflation, cost of labor, material, things like that. Just in general, right? The overall market today. The goal of having representation is that you are obliterating or getting rid of the chance, right, that maybe you minimize the damage. we're going to come in, we're going to make sure that we completely value it. We're going to take a comprehensive investigation, and we're going to conduct a comprehensive investigation, and we're going to make sure that every little line item that is necessary to repair your damaged property is included in that valuation, in that estimate. And the reason why you want to do that is, if they're working for 25 cents on the dollar, and we're working for 100% or 100 cents, the full dollar, there's always going to be a negotiation in the middle, and you're always going to hopefully get an advance payment first, maybe an undisputed, but there's also going to be a portion that's in dispute that you're going to have to, make sure that you understand the intricacies of construction and things like that to get over the hump, right? So you need supporting information to ensure all that. Expert or no expert, don't minimize the damage. Make sure you have a full evaluation, and make sure you have the supporting information to ensure that valuation is going to be, again, comprehensive. It's going to be clear, and it's going to be hard for the insurance company to defend, because it is the right method of repair. It is the right materials, right? It is the correct labor rate and number of employees or trades or tasks that need to happen for those repairs and things like that. Again, so just wrapping that all up, I think the early on conversations for most of these claims really revolve around that. What are the notice requirements, right, and your post-loss obligations? What do you do to ensure that you're properly adjusting the claim? You need to describe, document, and defend, right? And then 3, you need to include the right, correct, accurate valuation of the loss and damage. You need to understand whether you need experts or no experts. I would always argue that you should call GlobalPro to have representation to manage your risk to recovery, so you don't minimize your damages. You pick the correct experts, and then obviously also compile the right supporting information to ensure that you can get a round over, under, through, and manage those risks to recovery. Okay. We have lunch and learns. We have presentations. We go way deeper into some of these parts of the adjustment process and ways to ensure that you maximize your recovery. So we're going to leave a little link in the caption below. But if you want GlobalPro to come in, if you're a CAM, we can come to your property and talk to your team. If you're a property management company, obviously we can set up lunch and learns, on a schedule throughout the year to help get ready for storm season, to help talk through some of these issues, to help give information to your CAMs about how to handle these situations. And all of those presentations that I'm referring to here and describing here have CE credits attached to them. As long as you have your outcome license, we can get you credited for those. So look in the caption of the video. There's going to be a link. Check out the website. You can always email us at recover@globalpro.com, and we can always get back to you guys right away about setting a lunch and learn up, or a meeting, or whatever, to come give the presentations and give you that knowledge, which will be up to date at that point when we schedule that lunch and learn, or whatever capacity we're going to do it in. So let us know. Happy to come by and talk through some of these issues in a more granular way, to give you guys a little bit of information to help you navigate this stuff. So. With that being said, I wanted to reintroduce something. Again, I mentioned before that I haven't done in a while, and I feel bad that I haven't done it in a while, but I have on some very special kicks today, which you'll see in a second here. We're going to throw up a little picture of what I have on today. These are my tried and trues. They're Jordan 3 whites, elephants. They're actually Katrinas that I bought however many years ago. Had a buddy of mine make them look like the 88s. It was a whole fun process. It was the first time I really got a custom shoe. I got the heel tabs done, got the paint done. Really, really cool. So look out for the picture of that here. But I haven't done a sneaker release in a while. So I wanted to come through and talk about 3 or 4 different releases that are coming up that I think are really cool, and I think you need to take a look at. This week, in this is immediate. You got to take a look at this. In the upcoming week, there are 2 different Air Max 1s that are coming out. One is the women's Aura Denim. It's a really cool colorway, very different, it's unique, and I don't think you have anything else in your closet that looks like it. I might, because I have so many sneakers, but that's me. But there's also a competing Air Max 1 PRM for men that is a totally different colorway, and the 2 of them combined are really, really cool. And don't get me wrong, the women's Aura Denims, I'm kind of really digging. So you got to check those out. They're coming out within the week. Probably not going to hear me say much about this often, but it is an ode to my middle school and high school years. But Adidas Originals, they keep coming out with these indoor soccer throwbacks. I think they have 6, 7, maybe 8 launches or releases in the next couple of weeks, and especially this upcoming week, where they're doing Adidasamba colorways, all different. The OG, white and black, as always, but all different colorways for the Samba. And then they take those colorways and they add a gum sole to it. So that's what I'm saying. It's 6 or 7 or 8, but it's really it potentially double that depending on how many actual colors. I couldn't look them all up, but they're pretty good, especially the gum sole colorways. I love gum soles, if you know me, and should take a look out for those. Again, I can't believe I'm talking about this, but it's not going to happen very often. But for the Harry Potter fans out there, I need you to look out this week. The Harry Potter and Reebok Instapump Furies are coming out. I've always wanted a pair of the Instapump Furies, and I won't be standing in line for this launch, for this release, right? But I'm on the hunt now, right? I've never bought a pair of Instapump Furies. I want the tennis ball ones. I've seen them forever. It's probably 20-something years now, and I've never done it. You know, it's Reebok. You know, I'm a Nike guy. You guys know that. But checks over stripes and checks over whatever Reebok's brand is, logo is. But these Instapump Furies are pretty cool. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, I'm not gonna lie, the colorway's pretty good. They have a little bit of a hit here, but again, it's for a certain group of folks that are Harry Potter fans. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a pair. We'll see what happens. But I think fourth, the most important thing that for me at least, that really brings me back to childhood. In December, the true definition of my two worlds are colliding, right? So some of you might not know, I played tennis for a long time. My dad was a local legend in the D.C. area, and anywhere he went on the tennis court. And growing up, we watched a lot of tennis together. John McEnroe was one of the 10 or 15 people in my life that I remember watching a lot. You know, the Johnny Mac, right? The Macattack is back. Okay, they've released a couple colorways here and there. I love the shoe. I haven't gotten a pair yet, but in this instance, this might be something I do stand in line for and try to get my hands on. But the Travisscott and Nikeattacks, the John McEnroe Macattacks, they're finally releasing, from what I can tell. I know there's been some back and forth and some changes here and there, but this is the best of both worlds for me. It's my childhood, right? It's tennis, and then hip hop, which is another love of mine, right? So now we have hip hop and Johnny Mac, and McEnroe again. I love him for his fiercely, he's a New Yorker, right? He's fiercely competitive. He's fiercely a New Yorker. He's one of the best tennis players in my life that I've seen. Top 10 for sure for me. And so look out for that. I mean, this is going to be a big launch. I think they sell out quick. I'm not a resale guy, but I think these are going to have a little premium on them. So if I can't get them, I'm going to have to pay up a little bit here. But this is something I probably would pay up for. So take a look out for that. The Travisscott and Nike Macattacks are coming out. Again, hip hop and Johnny Mac can't get any better. It's very New York. And finally, quick shout out for our brother Victor, our big brother Victor. Vicky is down in Cartagena. I just got a bunch of pictures from him yesterday. Looks like he's ready to go. For those of you that know, Victor's been training extremely hard for his first Ironman. He's doing a half Ironman, a 70.3, and in his honor, I want to make sure that everyone knows that the Nike AlphaFly 3s, which I've been looking at, I mean, these things look like space boots, like Jetson space shoes. I don't even know, but this is the iconic, shoe for marathon runners that came on the scene. This is number 3, obviously it's the third version, but the first version at one point was banned. It's got the carbon plate. There's a lot of technology going on here, and these are, I would argue, one of the most technologically advanced sneakers, especially obviously for a sport like marathon running in the world. And you need to check the Nike AlphaFly 3s are pretty dope. I mean, they're wild looking. You got to check them out. The colorways are even better because of the shape of the shoe, the shape of the sole, and then the Nike Air in the front, in the forefoot, and in the back. The Zoom X is on there. It's unbelievable, the sneaker. You got to check it out, okay? Those don't come out until about January 4th is what I'm seeing here, but I think some of them are already hitting GOAT and StockX, so definitely take a look, all right? So with that being said, got to wrap it up today. So thank you for joining us. It's a great episode. I got back to my sneaker releases. I'm going to make sure I pepper those in moving forward. I know we have a lot of fans, a lot of viewers that love that. But ultimately, if you found this episode helpful, please be sure to subscribe. Follow us, like us on our social media and LinkedIn. Don't hesitate to reach out ever with any questions or topics you'd like for us to cover in future episodes. And if you want to join us for a show, send us an email, shoot us a DM. Write a caption, write us on under the caption here. You can always reach out to us, okay? You can always email recover@globalpro.com or marketing@globalpro.com. Either way, it'll get to our team, and we'll take a look at what you want to do and a topic and all that, and we'll have a discussion. We'd love to have you on. So let us know. Just reach out. We're always available. And remember, if your association, your business, your home, your yacht, your art, anything that you've insured that is of the utmost value to you, if you suffer loss or damage, always call us first. Okay? The number is 855-487-7475. Our team stands ready to assist 24/7. We are your insurance coverage experts before, during, and after any loss or damage. Don't hesitate to reach out to us ever, okay? Thank you very much. Make sure you join us next week right here in the Griffin studio at the Nucleus Hub. Same time, same GlobalPro channel. However, next week we have a special location. We're going to be on the scene. It's our Basel here. It's a tremendous week in Miami, obviously, and we're going to be coming to you from a very special location with a very special guest. So make sure you don't miss next week's episode. Take care. See you soon. Thank you for joining us. Always call us first. Thank you. Bye.